I was, and have always been, extremely close with my mother. Now, if there was anything you should know about me, it's that I have a 100% doctor-prescribed case of hophophobia. In other words, I'm afraid of being touched. Don't worry, I wasn't abused or anything of the sort. It just developed over the course of my growing up. My family couldn't quite pinpoint why it started in the first place. One moment I would be fine. Then, one Marty Swells from kindergarten would touch my shoulder just to merely tell me it was lunchtime. And the next I would be on top of him trying to shove sharp pencils up his nose while crying. Despite all of my outbursts to physical interaction, I never once had an episode with my mother. When she'd brush past me to get cookies out of the oven, or hold my hand, or kiss my knee after a bad cut, I never reacted like I usually would. I just kept on loving her like I always had. Sure, my mother loved all of her kids. As a mom who worked 2 jobs, she loved to go to the twins' football games when she could, or she'd make sure everything was near perfect for my sister's slumber parties. But our connection was something much more. Maybe it was because she could actually get close to me, beyond my phobia. To describe how close we truly were, I'll tell you that I slept in the same bed as my mother since I was 14. I know it sounds weird, but I can assure you it's not what you think. Do you remember how you were a little kid, you would get scared after watching a scary movie and run into your parents' room? To which they would let you sleep in between them? Well, that's what my situation was like. Except, 1, I didn't have a father to protect on the other side of me. 2, I did that routine a lot longer than most kids. There were times when I would have trouble falling asleep and she would gently scratch my back while humming a tune to a song I knew very well. Hold this boy tight and warm, keep him tough and strong. Hold this boy through the storm, leave him rough but strong. It was like that for years. Years and years until finally, someone or something filled the space on the other side of our bed. It happened during a winter night, a week after I turned 14. We had been having trouble paying the heating bill, so it didn't surprise me that the room was frigid. I could see my breath, with the help of bare minimum light casted by the moon. My toes were cold. My mother had lulled me to sleep earlier, but I awoke due to the dramatic temperature change. Winter was always harsh on us, and I was surprised to see her small chest rise peacefully up and down in such weather. I closed my eyes, trying to think of warm places that we would never go to. Florida, Texas, California, Arizona, Hawaii. Humming. Humming so gentle was almost barely audible. I listened intently and recognized the tune immediately. It was the song. The song my mother used as a lullaby, only it was a softer tone. Even softer than my mother's. It was younger, too. I peeked open my eyes to look at my mom to see if it was actually her. And to my dismay, it was not. She was obviously fast asleep. Her little chest still rose and fell with ease. Her eyelids lay relaxed on her face. Could she not hear it? And then I froze. Ever so slightly, the blanket that was pulled up to my chin began to slowly descend. I couldn't move. The room was too cold, too quiet, too stiff. My heartbeat pulsed through my ears as I felt the blanket continue to be pulled gently downwards. I wanted to turn to my mom and turn to her and yell something, anything. I felt a tear slip down my cheek as my imagination ran wild. I became aware as the end of the cover slid across my feet. I forced myself to clamp down hesitantly on the blanket. Then it stopped. The humming. The pulling. It did something particular. I felt whatever was on the end of my bed take the edge of the blanket and wrap across my toes and under my heels as the humming started up again. I didn't dare move. I didn't dare speak. All I could hear was the consistent inhale and exhale of my mother, with the quiet humming and my own heartbeat in the background. Slowly but surely, there was an unidentifiable pressure applied to my own bare chest. It didn't hurt, but I'd never felt it before. My mother was the only one that was allowed to get near me then, so I was confused as to why I wasn't having one of my episodes. In fact, I didn't understand why I was oddly calmer than just moments before. I didn't understand why I didn't lash out or scream for my mother's name. I didn't understand why my chest, due to its unfound pressure, was much warmer than before. I had a boy like you once. The voice next to my ear was clear as day and vivid as night. It was a young woman's voice. Too quiet, too sad, too airy. You were too cold. He was too cold. The world is far too cold. I stared at the ceiling wide-eyed, my breath stuck in my throat. Yes, I had a boy like you once. And just like that, it was over. The pressure on my body, gone. The tense muscles, relaxed. The breath I didn't realize I was holding on to, released. Even the air, the frigid air of the winter night, seemed to lift slightly. Almost as if something was weighing it down, was now gone. Just as I began to come to my senses, I felt my mother stir beside me. She turned on her side to face me, her big brown doe eyes opening in the process. William, baby, are you awake? Yes, Mama. My throat felt so dry. Then she wrapped her thin arms around me and embraced me in a flush of warmth. As she began stroking my hair, I felt her gently begin to sing the tune of the song I knew oh so well. Hold this boy tight and warm, keep him tough and strong. Hold this boy through the storm, leave him rough but strong. Even after all these years, I swear to you now as I swore then to myself, my mother was not the only voice singing that night.